Inside every single one of us is this incredibly complex metabolic universe. It's run by powerful hormones that are constantly deciding whether we store energy or burn it. Today, we're going to go deep inside that system to finally get an answer to a question that has sparked some fierce debate in the world of intermittent fasting. You've probably seen it online, right? This huge debate. OMAD, that's 1 meal a day, versus the classic 16-8 protocol. People get so obsessed with their fasting clocks, treating the hours like a high score. They think pushing from 16 to 20 and then to 22 hours is the magic key. But what if the clock isn't telling the whole story? Okay, let's just stop right there for a second. I know this statement probably goes against everything you've heard. And look, the fasting window absolutely matters, don't get me wrong. But there's a much more important metric hiding underneath it all, a number that truly dictates your results, but almost no one is talking about. So if it's not just about counting the hours on a clock, what is this hidden metric? Let's pull back the curtain and take a look at your body's real scorecard for fat loss. It's something called your insulin area under the curve, or AUC for short. Think of it like this. Every single time you eat, your insulin rises. It's like a wave that moves through your system. Now imagine if we could plot every single one of those waves on a graph over a full 24 hours. The total area underneath all of those waves combined, that's your insulin AUC. It's the total insulin punch your body took for the entire day. So why is this so important, especially when we're talking about visceral fat? Well, think of insulin as the strict bouncer standing at the door of your fat cells. When insulin is high, your body is in full-on storage mode. That door is locked tight and insulin's got the key. You literally cannot burn stored fat. It's only when insulin finally drops low enough for long enough that the door unlocks and your body can finally start releasing that stored energy.
And this is where it gets really interesting and where a lot of people get tripped up. It seems so logical, doesn't it? 1 meal means 1 insulin spike. 2 or 3 meals means multiple spikes. So OMAD just has to win because of that long, low insulin period, right? Well, it's not quite that simple.
Think about it. That one massive 2,000-calorie meal on OMAD doesn't create a little ripple. It creates a tidal wave of insulin that can last for hours. Compare that to a couple of smaller, shorter waves from 2 meals during a 16-8 window. It is entirely possible for that single giant wave to have the same total area under the curve as the multiple smaller ones. All right, enough with the theory. Let's dig into the actual data and see what the science says. We'll start with the most popular kid on the block, the 16-8 protocol. A huge meta-analysis just dropped in 2024. They looked at 23 different trials with more than 1,200 people. And the takeaway? Yes, 16-8 absolutely produces real, measurable improvements in things like fasting glucose and insulin resistance. These are great, but the key word that researchers used was modest. And this next part, this is the real kicker. A landmark, year-long study published in the prestigious New England Journal of Medicine did a head-to-head comparison. They took 16-8 and put it up against simple, old-school calorie restriction. And when total calories were matched between the groups, you know what they found? No significant difference in fat loss. None. So what's going on here? Well, the magic of 16-8 isn't some secret metabolic cheat code. It's a brilliant behavioral tool. By just compressing your eating window, you naturally create fewer opportunities to snack and overeat. It's like it builds these passive guardrails into your day that help you eat fewer calories without even really trying. And that's the primary reason it's so successful for so many people. Okay, so that's the story on 16-8. Now let's jump to the more extreme end of the spectrum and look at the data for 1 meal a day. On paper, the case for OMAD is really strong. I mean, you get that 1 insulin spike, followed by over 22 hours in a super low insulin state. A 2022 study even found that doing OMAD increased fat burning during exercise. It's like it was teaching the body to prefer fat as its fuel source. And for people dealing with severe insulin resistance, it can be an incredibly powerful tool. But, and this is a big but, there's a trade-off. One really interesting study found that after several weeks of eating just 1 large meal in the evening, something strange happened. The participants actually started waking up with higher fasting blood sugar. Their bodies were becoming less efficient at handling glucose, not more. This is where meal timing becomes absolutely critical. Your body's ability to handle food, your insulin sensitivity, it follows a natural daily rhythm. It's highest in the morning, and it gets progressively worse as the day goes on. so that one big OMAD meal eaten at noon has a completely different metabolic effect than the exact same meal eaten at 7 p.m. And then there's just, reality. OMAD is demanding. It is tough to stick to. In some studies, the dropout rate was as high as 65%. And let's be real, if you can only stick with a protocol for 6 weeks before you burn out, it's not going to beat a more moderate plan that you can actually stick with for 6 months. This brings us full circle, right back to the ultimate success factor, the one variable that has a much bigger impact than how long your fasting window is. Check this out. Mind-blowing research from the NIH took a group of people and put them on 2 different diets. One was all ultra-processed foods, the other was whole foods. Here's the crazy part. Both diets were perfectly matched for macros, like carbs, fat, and protein. The result? When people were on the ultra-processed diet, they spontaneously ate an extra 500 calories a day. 500, without even trying. And here it is. This is the bottom line. The fasting clock becomes almost irrelevant if your eating window is filled with sugary, ultra-processed junk that sends your insulin through the roof for hours on end. Food quality, that is the variable that truly compounds over time and determines your success.
So you see, this whole debate isn't about one protocol being better than the other. It's about choosing the right tool for the job, and more importantly, the right tool for your life.
16-8 is probably going to be your go-to tool if you're new to this whole fasting thing, if you like to work out in the morning, or if you just need a sustainable, flexible plan that fits into a busy life. Now, OMAD might be the right tool for you if you're already well adapted to 16-8, if you have significant insulin resistance and you're working with your doctor, if you can eat that meal earlier in the day, or frankly, if you just find that one big meal is more satisfying and easier to manage. Ultimately, these protocols are just time management tools for your insulin. That's it. The people who make real, lasting progress, they all have one thing in common. They picked a structure that fit their life, they filled it with good food, and they just stayed with it, consistently. So the question was never really which fasting window is longer. The real question is, which structure provides the guardrails that you need to eat well, consistently for the long haul? Which tool are you going to choose?